right, good job. I'm so excited about tonight's conversation and bringing up everybody for the panel on motherhood. I'm super excited to introduce everyone. Well, what I'm going to do is call them my name and tell you guys what they do, and then I'll give them the opportunity to discuss more about their profession or what it is that they want to tell about themselves. So we're going to start off with Jessica Lattin. She is a perinatal mental health counselor, and she is amazing. She has been on our panel before, our last candid conversation. So she was so phenomenal, we had to bring her back again. And Jessica, welcome to the stage. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Desiree, again for bringing me on. I really enjoyed our last conversation, so I'm super excited about tonight because it's about a topic I'm super passionate about, which is motherhood and everything surrounding that. So, like you said before, I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I specialize in perinatal mental health. And I have a private practice in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'm licensed in 3 states, Louisiana, Georgia, and Texas. So I see primarily pregnant and postpartum women, or just women that are kind of in that stage of life where they're thinking about even having children. And so I just work with women kind of surrounding everything from before you have a baby to everything after and in between. So I'm really excited.
And we're so excited about all that you bring to the panel, and we can't wait to dive into it. Next, we have Peyton Como. Excuse me, she recently got married, Peyton Scallion. I don't need her husband jumping on me, honey. But Peyton Scallion is a master's level social worker. We're gonna go ahead and bring her up to the stage. Hi, Peyton. Sorry about that name confusion. I should know better than that. I should do better. But as I said, she's a master's level social worker. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, introduce yourself and tell us about the work you do.
Okay, well, like you said, hi, I'm Peyton. I am a master's level social worker. I got my undergrad at the Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I got my master's at UT Arlington, but Southern was the most important part of that conversation. So I currently work in the mental health setting. I work with people who are on probation or parole, who have severe mental health disorders, who live in a transitional facility. So I travel about 4.5 hours for work to help our residents battle their different mental health disorders. So yeah, I have a big passion for mental health, especially in the Black community, and an even more sensitive spot because I am 8 months postpartum with twin babies. So I have really found a new love for postpartum mental health and taking care of mamas and new mamas especially. So yeah, I'm really excited for the conversation, and I'm just excited to be here with all these different women. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be like them. Like, so I'm really excited to be here, and yeah.
Awesome, Peyton. Yeah, we definitely going to talk about those twins and being 8 months postpartum and being able to help, others as you have experienced. And our last but not least, our panelist, Dr. Gretchen Petterway. She is a pediatrician in Shreveport, Louisiana. We'll bring her on up to the stage. We're so excited to have you here tonight. All things Dr. G. Super excited. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you have going on?
Hi, everyone. And Desiree, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here. And I'm Dr. Gretchen Petterway, and you said it, All Things Dr. G is a platform that the Lord gave me in prayer and fasting last year because he was showing me that my life was out of order and that I needed to realign it and make decisions that was healthy for me as an individual, me as a wife, and me as a mother, and then me as a pediatrician. So I'm very thankful and excited about that brand that has launched. But I'm a general pediatrician, and I've been practicing in the Shreveport area for about 15 years now. And so I have the best of both worlds. I am a mother who happens to take care of not only my babies, but hundreds and thousands of other babies in the Shreveport-Bossier area. And part of taking care of babies is being a support system to other mothers. So I am excited to be here and to share my personal and professional journey and to share the stage with some awesome and amazing women. Hey, Jessica and Peyton, how are y'all?
I'm so excited for all the things that you all are going to share tonight. I'm especially excited about this panel. And Dr. G, you're right. You have helped mothers through, sometimes, me being one of them, as you were the first pediatrician for my son. And yeah, that was, a time for me. It's a transition, as we all say. So just to kind of reiterate, guys, what we're here to talk about tonight, it's a panel on motherhood. We'll talk about life before, during, and after motherhood with a particular focus on managing mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so we wanted to kind of spotlight that. Some of the societal expectations of women in and out of the workplace, and maintaining your personal identity while in a partnership. And as someone who is a mother, that's a mouthful. That's a lot to dive into. And it encompasses all things. And that's kind of what we want candid conversations to be. It's about those things, and literally let them be candid. Let's hear the truth, because that's what we're here to do, is, talk about the truth, how we feel. Experiences are the truth. Whatever you experienced is the truth, is valid, and no one can take that from you. And as we know, someone else out there has experienced it as well, and you could be helping that person just by sharing your story. So nothing is off limits here. Just lay that out on the table. We already introduced ourselves, so I want to talk just a brief moment about what led you to your career. I know that you kind of told me a little bit about it, but I want to talk about what led you to the field that you're in. Did you know from a very young age that this is something you want to do? Was it an experience that pushed you into that? And I'm going to go ahead and start with Peyton.
I felt like I was gonna get called on first, the teachers coming. So for me, I think it was a combination of both things you mentioned, like experience and like from a young age. I feel like now that I know what my profession is, all the things that I was kind of experiencing or friends were experiencing growing up, and I was kind of that person like, okay, let's take a deep breath and don't react, and let's work the steps. It all came very naturally. I didn't really know what social work was until I was about in the 11th grade. This was, I've heard of psychologists, I've heard of counselors, psychiatrists, but I hadn't really heard of social workers outside of, the negative CPS stereotype. So once I got to college, social work was a major, and I took my first intro true class. And in that class, that teacher, I said, yeah, this is it. I was like, this is 100%. This is my lane. This is my bag. I knew it. And it just feels so natural. Even when I'm burnt out, I'm like, this is still what I want to do. I don't want to do it today, but I want to do it for, forever. So it was just a combination of kind of naturally always kind of being in that counselor role, in that, Peyton's going to help come up with resolutions. Kind of everyone always assumed I had the right answers. So it kind of naturally happened. And all the experiences that I was witnessing with friends and peers, it just felt, I know how to handle this arena, and this is where I shine. So it kind of just stuck. So we've been here ever since.
Awesome. That sounds good. I like that it came naturally for you, and you kind of just followed your own path, your intrinsic, what you were feeling. That's important. Jessica, you want to chime in a little bit on that?
Yeah, so I knew when I was a kid that I wanted to do something to help people, but I just didn't quite know what that was. And I actually went a long time wanting to be a pediatrician. But then when I got into high school, kind of like Peyton, I started researching things, because once you get into your junior year, you're like, oh, this is serious now. I need to actually figure out what I'm going to go to college for. And I was like, don't want to go to school that long to be a pediatrician. So kudos to you, Dr. Petterway. I went to school. My initial major was psychology. I switched to education. I thought for a little while there I wanted to be a teacher, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna stick to the psychology. And eventually I started to just explore that area more and decided to become a counselor. How I wound up working with this population, the perinatal population, was from my own miscarriage. In 2017, my husband and we miscarried, and we just really didn't know how to navigate that whole situation because it's something that people don't talk about. So I later discovered that many of our friends had experienced similar situations, but they just kind of dealt with that to themselves. Our doctor told us that we were young and we could just try again. It was just not a very supportive position as far as like mental health goes. And I hear that often with my patients. It's like they just felt like the doctor just kind of pushed them to the side and didn't really consider their mental health. And so I tried to be what I wish I would have had in that situation. We wound up getting pregnant immediately after my miscarriage with my daughter, Bella, my youngest. And from there, I had perinatal anxiety throughout the entire pregnancy because, of course, I was worried about losing the pregnancy again. I was also a high-risk pregnancy. I had gestational diabetes, as well as they told us that we had an abnormal screen and that she could possibly have Down syndrome. So there was just a whirlwind of things going on. And then after that, I had some postpartum depression and anxiety, and I really didn't start feeling like myself until about 6 months postpartum. And from there, like the way I heal is by kind of getting a better understanding of things. So I started really educating myself on perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. I discovered that there was actually an organization, PSI, that covers that and educates that and builds awareness for that and helps moms. And they have a certification. And I was like, oh my God, like this is right up my alley. So this would kind of led me from just counseling, just general with everything, but also just like focusing in on my niche. And it's just been great ever since. I got certified 2 years later. And I love it. Most of my clients are pregnant and postpartum women, and it really has come full circle. I'm happy that, you know, my experience I'm able to help other women through what they're going through.
Right. And I absolutely love that. And I love that you said the way that you healed was getting a better understanding, because education, not just saying, it includes other things. It's not just I'm going to get better, or this is how it's supposed to be, or this is how I'm supposed to feel. Right. You literally took how you were feeling, got knowledge of it, educated yourself on it, and then begin to heal, because it's a process in the healing. And that journey of that just spoke to me and stuck out, because we sometimes, we just accept how we're feeling, and because we don't know, but that's a part of changing the generation is, understanding these things, getting that knowledge and educating others. I really love that. Dr. G, let's hear a little bit about you.
So my road to become a pediatrician is actually funny because I am a country girl, guys. Look, I am from Mansfield, Louisiana. Everybody saw the same doctor, from my grandmother who was in her 70s, my auntie Nump who was 90 something, down to me and my sisters. Everybody saw the same doctor, and we called them the general practitioners back then. So I did not have a concept of what a pediatrician was. And gosh, I was 9 years old, and my aunt Nump, same lady, she had arthritis, and I was rubbing her hands with Bengay, and she told me I had healing hands. So at 9 years old, I didn't understand what that meant, but I think that was just a foreshadow to the purpose, right? And so I got to high school, and people were throwing out all this stuff, engineering, chemical engineering. I was like, okay, I want to do that. I had no clue what that was. It sounded good because some of my friends wanted to do it, but that wasn't the purpose. And so I finally decided, hey, I'm going to be a doctor. And I went, Peyton, to the Grambling State University. So I went to Grambling saying that I want to be a doctor. And so between Grambling State University and going to medical school, I didn't get in. I did not do well on the medical college admissions test the first time, and I had to graduate, step back and regroup. And in that time frame, the Lord literally gave me a vision, and I was partially asleep, partially awake. And I remember being devastated because I hadn't gotten into medical school, and the Lord flashed his vision in front of my face. And I was in a delivery room with this mom and the baby was in the crib, and I was standing next to the crib. But hey, this little country girl did not understand what that meant, because I did not have a concept of what a pediatrician was until I got into medical school. And when I got into medical school and I rotated through my pediatric pediatric rotation in third year, that's when I said, okay, this is my aha moment. You know, I feel like I was depressed the entire time when I was on the surgery rotation. When I went to family medicine, I'm like, okay, you have 20 different medicines. This is not for me, you know. But when I got to pediatrics, I fell in love. And so I knew then, like, okay, this is what you were showing me years ago, is that I was called to be a pediatrician. And so that's how it started. And so I remember graduating from residency and doing all that and starting my pediatric practice here, and just being devastated as a Black woman in the South, trying to enter a career where we only represent about 2% of doctors in America. And I remember my first job interview, and the hospital executive basically said that he was not interested in me because of the type of patients I would attract. So that for me was a self-esteem blow. It was a huge self-esteem blow, because I have worked hard. There was some real blood, sweat, and tears to go on my first real interview, and to be told that this hospital system was not interested in me because of the type of patients that I would attract. In other words, he was just basically saying, hey, we're not interested in hiring a Black girl because we don't want the patients that you're going to attract, right?
Pretty much.
Right, pretty much, you know. So straight up, you know, I then came into it with this mindset that I have to hustle hard. You know what? I'm going to show you better than I can tell you. You know, I'm going to make it your bad. You know, I am going to do so well to where you're going to be disappointed that you did not take that chance on me. And so that was a, how can I say it? That was a hard place to get from, right? And
right.
So instead of focusing on purpose, then I was focusing on, I got a point to prove. That's where I was, like, you know, you slam the door in my face and I'm going to show you who's who. And that's not really always a healthy place to be.
It's
and
not.
So I started my practice, and I had this mindset that I have a point to prove, right? So I worked hard. I worked long hours. Over time, my practice started to grow, and it is so amazing because as my practice started to grow, it started to grow in a diverse way. And so not only did I see my people, which I am loving and happy that my people trust me to take care of them, but I have white patients, I have Asian patients, I have Indian patients, you name it. They represent a patient that I have seen at one point or another. As my practice started to grow, and the Lord just kept blessing it, and I got married and I had children, things just got wild for me. I got in a situation where I was overwhelmed, guys, like straight up. Like I was like giving everything that I had 120%. Remember, I was coming with this mindset that I have a point to prove. Right. Now it was my ministry, but I just still in my mind was saying I have a point to prove. Right. And I overextended myself to the point where it started being unhealthy for me. And I, from a mental standpoint, suffered. My health physically started to suffer. I started having issues with hypertension. And then I realized that those relationships that were most important to me began to suffer as well. Because if you've poured everything out professionally, then how you don't have anything left to give the significant in your life. And so I came to a crossroads a few years back, and I realized that the path that I was on was not healthy for me. And I stopped and I prayed and I was like, Lord, I can't do this anymore. Like real conversation that I had with him. And I prayed and I was like, open the door. And then in the process of all of that, I literally walked away from a practice that I had grown over 12 years, like straight up just walked away.
Walked out. We're going to discuss that. We're going to dive more into why you walked away with maybe some of the following questions.
Right.
I want to kind of, since we're all here to kind of talk about and celebrate, the various facets of womanhood, including the experience of motherhood. So speaking from experience, we're all mothers here. Yep, we're all mothers here. What has been the hardest period of motherhood for you and how did you deal with it? Just kind of piggybacking on how, Dr. G was saying, she had to take a pause. So I'm sure some of that kind of included, she said she wasn't being able to pour into other things in her life. So speaking of that, how have, tell me, Jessica, I'll start with you. Experience what has been the hardest period of motherhood for you and how did you deal with it, whether it's navigating professionally, mentally, or
Yeah, most definitely. I would say the hardest part about motherhood is being a working mom and just finding that balance, especially when I was first starting off in my career. I got pregnant. So I graduated one weekend from grad school, got married the next weekend, and my husband will tell you my son was conceived the night of, because he is born 8 months or 9 months to the day.
That's hilarious. I'm sure we can find him in the comments.
So it all happened so quickly. And here I am, like trying to find a job in my field because I want to be a counselor and I have to start getting start my supervision hours and all those things so I could eventually become licensed. I actually had to put that on hold for a year until after I had my son. But I started working for child protection, and that was just a very taxing job, like mentally and physically. I started like having a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. I used to like dread going to work. I mean, it was just a lot trying to balance work and like trying to be like the wife that you picture yourself being, somebody who cooks all the time and has an immaculate home and all those unrealistic things that I know now that I'm 9 years into marriage. Like I know that that's not realistic, but in the beginning it was just like a lot of pressure, and then just like feeling guilty about being away from my son, like missing milestones that working moms will miss with their child going to daycare and things like that. So that was probably one of the hardest parts, was probably like the first 2 years, just trying to figure things out. And it's like, am I doing a good job? Because like I take being a parent very seriously, and I wish more people would. Like I'm literally molding a future adult who's going to make more adult, like I'm affecting like generations to come. And so it's just so important to me, just because like I've seen how I've had the privilege of counseling children. I've also had the privilege of counseling adults. So I've seen both sides of the coin and what will happen when you neglect children. This is what they turn into as an adult. And so it's just such a huge responsibility. So I would say like the first 2 years of really just trying to be a good mom, but also recognizing that I'm not going to be perfect.
That's key. That's key. Recognizing that our idea of what perfection is, or what we assumed perfection is, it doesn't exist. It's really about creating your own quote unquote balance, because I'm not sure that exists either, but it's what works for you and your family. So, and that is perfection. And that's what I have learned as my son, talks to me right now on Facebook Live. Peyton, you can go ahead and answer that question, please.
Okay. I guess the hardest part for me is all of it. So again, I have 8-month-old twins. I have a boy and a girl. So my journey into motherhood was a little different because I am a bonus mommy. So I got to kind of skip the newborn phase, and I got her, she's like 1.5, and, you know, we did potty training. But when I got pregnant with the twins, and I had an amazing pregnancy, my pregnancy was actually really great. I was a crybaby, but that's kind of who I am in general. So when I had the twins, I immediately kind of fell into postpartum depression. Like, it was just a high of pregnancy and then like a boom. I think we got home and I was like, WTF? who's supposed to do this? So breastfeeding was a challenge for me, and the more stressed I got about it, the worse it got. So I was working from home, but my job at the time was super flexible. So I was basically a stay-at-home mom. Dad was working long hours. So my sister was helping my mom and his mom, but it was the breastfeeding. I couldn't get over the fact feeling like I can't feed my kids. My body's not doing what it's supposed to do. And he's trying to encourage me. He's like, relax. If this was one baby, you'd have a surplus, but it's 2 little hungry gremlins. So I was pumping. I would breastfeed one, pump, breastfeed the next one, pump. And I felt like I was chained to the bed. I was chained to the couch. And I was just in the house all the time. And then I felt like he was kind of getting the hang of it more than I was. So then I felt like, okay, now I'm a terrible mom. Like, mom's supposed to be the go-to parent, and dad's doing better than me. So then there was that in my head. You know, he could pick them both up at the same time, but I was still too scared to try. And he would swallow them better than I would. And I'm like in the corner crying. So it was just rough. The first, probably till like yesterday, no, I'm just kidding. But the first 6 months were really rough. Around the 3.5 month mark, he kind of stepped in and was like, hey, babe, I think you need to stop breastfeeding because it's really like, it's taking you out. So, and that kind of like, I didn't advocate for myself in the hospital that I didn't want to supplement, and I let them supplement. And so then they struggled to latch. And so that's like a whole nother topic of us not really being informed in the delivery room, and interventions maybe being suggested that you don't really want, but you have so much going on. Do you really want to fight this battle right now? So that first 8 months were hard. And then I started going in person to work, and now we had to find a sitter, and then we had to go to daycare. And that created another cycle of, I'm supposed to be their mom. I'm supposed to take care of them. This is not okay. I need to see every single moment of every single day. And like, what if they crawl or walk at daycare first and they see it and I miss it? Am I this terrible mother because I'm missing them, walk? So it was just a constant spiral. And Jessica, I wish I knew you before, because I took the screening you have to do for postpartum, and I think I don't know if it's 20 is like the highest number, let's just say 20, but at one point I scored a 19, and their pediatrician was like, okay, like we need to get help. So I go to get help, and they say, yeah, we can see you in 5 months. What am I gonna do between now and then? So that was in like September, October. They said our waiting list is until February. So I'm just sitting there like, that's not gonna help. So honestly, the first 6 months were just hard. I didn't know, I guess I thought because I was a bonus mom, I was just gonna slide into this real smooth. Like, I got a kid. It's like, no, it is, hey girl, but no. So all of it. So I think I'm just kind of getting into a more like lull, and I have accepted the fact that there's 2 of them. Like, I have accepted the fact that there's 2 double time of everything.
And that it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
Like, this is my life. This is what I'm going to accept. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And since we are on the topic of motherhood, Dr. G, I'm going to switch it up a little bit on you.
Okay.
I kind of want to, she's kind of pushing me into this direction a little bit about what is the hardest thing about having kids, and was there anything that no bit of advice or research could have prepared you for? Thinking about, Peyton's experience, and I know her personally, so I understand, I feel it in a different way of what she's, expressing. I didn't know about the 5 months, but, that's why we have the Jessicas of the world who are there to literally fill that gap And just getting, and that's what we're doing here tonight, is getting that information out there that we do exist. She does exist. She can do this, and then that's important, because if I'm saying I need help now and then you tell me 5 months, we still have a problem. And that's where we're losing mothers. And that's why the maternal death rate is so high, because we're losing mothers. We need that access. And then that's important. So I want to go into that question. Dr. G, do you need me to repeat it? I know I talked a little bit, or you got it. Okay, and you're on.
Honestly, I think the most candid and personal advice that I give my new mothers, that I had to learn the hard way, is that you have to have the strength to write your own story. When you are a new mom, when you're a new mother, you have information literally coming from every direction. Oh, you need to give the baby this. Oh, you need to give that baby a little rice cereal. Or in your case, Peyton, no, you have to supplement these twins. And so you are literally bombarded with information in a time in your life where you are just trying to make it to your next breath, because that is how hard being a new mother can be. It's a traumatic experience, because you are transitioning into one phase of life that you will never know ever again, to one that is beautiful, yet one that is scary, yet one that I don't care who they are, I don't care who you talk to, there is really nothing that can prepare you for this. And so you get this information and you get this advice from all of these different sources, and you're overwhelmed, especially when it doesn't work out the way that you envisioned in your mind that it would. And for me, that's exactly what happened. Who gets pregnant in residency training? Me, So I am pregnant in my last year of my pediatric training. I was on call every third to fourth night, working long hours. And then I look up and I have a baby, right? And I knew I was having a baby. Like, I was so excited, but it is something, it's something that mentally happens to you when you look at this human and you're like, oh, snap, I can barely take care of myself. And we were working so many hours to where we would even forget to pay bills. My husband called me one time and was like, G, I know you've been at work on call for 30 hours. If you need to take a shower, you may need to go to my my mom's house, because we don't have no water. That's how bad it was. We were just trying to make it. And then I have this little human. And when he was born, he did not latch on. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to breastfeed. I'm going to do this. He's going to latch on. If the world is going to be perfect. And that dude was looking at my breast like, what's this? It just did not happen. And it did not happen for weeks. So my world just came crumbling down, because I had to give him formula because my milk didn't come in until day 5, and he lost a lot of weight. And so in hindsight, what I learned, especially with that second child, and what I tell my new moms, I give them to that 1 month well child check, because by that time they can receive it, when the baby's first born, they're gung ho and they have the list. I'm going to do this. But then by a month, that reality sets in, and then I can have a real conversation. And I will tell them, look, I don't care what your mama did, your cousin did, your sister did. I don't care what your BFF did. Let me have a real conversation with you. It is time for you to write your own story. I don't care what the American Academy of Pediatrics said. The American Academy of Pediatrics is not changing its diaper right now. The American Academy of Pediatrics is not depressed and anxious, and scored, in the high risk section of that postnatal, perinatal depression screening that we do for new moms. So you have to glean what you need to glean and roll with it. Write your own story. So what if your mom gave you rice cereal at 6 months? You ain't got to do that if you don't want to. And so you have to be able to write your own story. And in writing your own story, I always tell parents this one thing. You had the baby. Peyton, in your situation, you had 2 babies, So parents think about the baby as a singular unit. You cannot do that. When you have a baby, the baby actually represents the entire family. So when I think about the baby, I think about the family unit. And so sometimes we have to make decisions that's best for the family as a whole. You were trying to breastfeed twins. That's a lot, and that's hard. And then having to go back to work. And so, yes, we want to breastfeed our babies, but guess what? Like my husband said to me, look, both of us were formula fed, and I feel like we turned out fine. And I was like, you know what, you're right. But it depends on who you ask that question to, you know, but seriously, you know, and so I supplemented. I did not exclusively breastfeed because I was going to be crazy if I did. And so for me, breastfeeding and supplementing with formula was our happy spot. And it was the best thing for the family because I was in a better place. My husband was in a better place. And Dylan, you know, he was a little piglet too. You know, I could not keep up with the dude. You know, he's still greedy, 14 years old, you know. So I wrote my own story. So that is my one-liner.
I love that.
Write your own book.
I like that. I think that is the best thing that we don't, like you said, we get all the advice of what to do. No one really tells us just do what works for you and your family. I love that your husband stepped in. I love that Peyton's husband stepped in. Like, look, you know what? I see a difference in you when you're breastfeeding. Let's just let this go. It's still going to work for us. And I love that. Support is everything. And that's what we, can only hope to be, is a support to, the parent-child relationship. Right. Jessica, do you want to share anything with us? A bit of advice on basically what the question stated. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. When it comes to motherhood, was there anything that, no bit of advice or anything could help you with that you experienced while you were trying to prepare for parenthood or after, the baby was here?
Yeah. I would probably just say like the mental health aspect about it, because most people assume that pregnancy is supposed to be happy and exciting. And it really was for my first pregnancy with my son, but with my daughter, I hated being pregnant. And I tell people that even now, like I had a totally different experience the second time around, and I did not enjoy it. So I think that we should make mothers feel okay with having that thought process and not judge them for saying they dislike pregnancy, because there's a lot of factors that go into it. And, 50% of pregnancies are unplanned, first of all, even if you are married or have a partner, whatever, things just aren't always exciting. And even if they are planned, things can go wrong. Or things can just not go as planned. And I always tell moms, especially now that I've been a mom for a while, is throw your plans out the window, because we all have an idea in our head of what we, like Dr. Gretchen said, about like what you want to do. Oh, I'm gonna breastfeed, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But you really don't know until it gets there. And I think, it's nice to like have this, to want to do those things, but if you can't do those things, don't beat yourself up about it. I really was hell-bent on making my children's baby food. I wasn't gonna be buying that baby food from the store, honey. I was gonna make it from scratch. You hear me?
I hear you. I was that mom, as y'all know. I did. I know. I had my rules. Dr. G can tell you. I had my birth plan laid out, and Trey decided that he was gonna be breech. And my OB looked at me and said, "Desiree, you have tried to control this entire pregnancy. Mm-hmm. I think this is just God telling you that you are not gonna be in control when this baby gets here. You're not gonna be in control. So we're not flying you to New York to deliver the baby breech. You're staying here. We're gonna have a C-section." And I was just like, okay. But my birth plan, but no, it was out the window.
There you go. Like you will feel less disappointment, less depressed, less anxious if you just kind of be more mindful and in the moment and just let things be as they are. And, you know, everything happens for a reason. There's a season for everything. The time, God's timing is perfect. And I really believe that, especially when I miscarried, I was like, God, like, you know, I want a little girl. So, you know, like, I know it's going to happen, you know, so like just,
Yes.
but it wasn't in my time, it was in his time. And I got my little girl, but you know, it didn't come without some waiting and you know, some other things. So definitely just throw your plans out the window.
Yes,
And
I like
definitely
the,
just remember, like, we really do need to do more education on mental health during pregnancy, and I'm actually working on that now, like trying to get that implemented, because you don't really see too many you see the classes, the prenatal classes about everything under the sun, but you don't see any on, you know, perinatal mental health. And I think that is so vital, because there's so many of us that struggle in that area. And even if it's just for a little short while, you know, it's more common than what we think.
I think that that's very important. I think that we should have some, you know, classes when we get pregnant. You know, we need some of that help. I'm going to jump into another question, Peyton. Give me 1 second. Okay, I'm being a mother while navigating both spaces, guys. So just give me I'm a single mother and he's home, so I'm doing both. So this is what entrepreneurship looks like with having a kid. So bear with me tonight. He's not being cooperative, but we're okay with that. You know, he's his own little person. So Peyton, I want to jump into this question. We've talked a lot about maybe the pain points of parenting and motherhood and things that how we individually navigated those spaces. But what I do want to talk about is some wins. If you had to pick, what have your biggest win thus far? What would you say it would be? This can include support that you've given to your friends, family, or clients, or you know, just something that you feel like, you know what, I did that. What has been your win thus far in the 8 months that you have been a mommy?
I would actually say I think my biggest win is kind of I had a lot of friends that gave birth either right before me or right after me. And not like not my closest friends, people I went to college with or I've known from college. We talk casually, sorors, all those different interactions. And I think that my biggest win is just kind of creating my own little mommy community where people I'm not even the closest with, before they go to their best friends, they call me like, this happened. What's wrong with my baby? I'm like, girl, I'm not the doctor. Let's call urgent care. I don't know. But my biggest win is that they thought of me. They thought highly enough of me as a mama that they came to me. So that's like my biggest win. Like these women are calling me. I don't know what I'm doing either, but at least we feel comfortable enough with each other that we can it's just having that community. Because of my closest friends, I only have one friend that got a baby. Well, he's not a baby no more. He a big boy. So I felt for a while it's kind of floating. And so opening myself up to other moms and new moms whose kids are around the same age as the twins, give or take a month. That's like my biggest win, to just send TikToks and laugh because we're all going through the same thing. It's 3 a.m. and we're both talking to each other on Instagram because the babies are awake and we're like miserable. But just that space, that safe space, I think that's my biggest win, that I can be that for them and I have them to be that for me when we're mad at dad because he can sleep through the cries and we can't. We can all just sit there and just be mad together. Just that little community, I think, has been the biggest blessing for me, the biggest win, because I'm like, okay, this is not just me. I'm not by myself.
Right.
This is like more common.
Right.
It's not something crazy. You know, everyone talks about how dad sleeps through the cries or dad ignores, you know, he can just watch the TV.
It's all coming to reality now. Like, oh, this is what they were talking about.
Yes, I think that's my biggest win, is just my community of mamas.
That's good. Creating that space, or our tribe, as we call it, you know, to get that support when we are feeling alone, because being in that space alone is not a good, you know, place to be. And as you said, you know, being open enough or vulnerable, if you will, to talk about those things like, hey, I'm just not well. I'm very upset right now. I know this is my life, but I'm still upset, and that's okay. You could be that way. Like Jessica was saying, she just did not enjoy her second pregnancy. And to be able to say that and talk to someone who understands it and who comprehends it for just what it is important. That's important. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad mother. It's just you're human, and I'm not enjoying this right now. Everyone enjoys the newborn phase, but I didn't, because if you know me, I like to move around, and in that newborn phase, you can't really do much. You got to sit in the house and be catered to, and it wasn't, that TikTok or meme that's going around is like, absolutely not. That was me. Absolutely, things I just don't like is that newborn stage. Like that is just, it did it for me. But Dr. G, I want to go with the same question. What has been your biggest mom win thus far?
I think for me, and I was just thinking about this as we were chatting, but I think one of the best mom wins for me was breaking generational curses by recognizing that I had issues that I needed to address so that I could heal. And so for me, a mom win was starting therapy at 39 years old, and recognizing that, hey, like I am at a point in my life where I recognize that I need to make changes, but I also recognize that there's some issues even from my childhood that I need to bring some closure to and heal. So for me, that was a win, because when I do that and I get in a healthy space, then I can parent from a healthier space, and I'm breaking potential generational curses. One, by being transparent with myself and my own feelings. And then it's helped me to be transparent with my children and not bottle things on the inside. If I'm not happy about something, or if I'm really sad about this, being able to express that, being able to cry in front of my children so that they can see my humanity. And I have two boys, I have two Black boys, and for them to be able to see their parents communicate and express what they may be feeling in a really real and transparent way, then that helps them as they're growing up to understand that I can do the same thing, so that's a huge mama win for me, because I feel that I am breaking chains, of trauma, not only from my family, but us as a race. Think about it, when you go back generations to slavery, trauma is embedded in our DNA, and what steps can we make as parents to break that generational curse? So going to therapy for me was big, and I'm excited about it. And I used to tell my therapist, look, I'm burning rubber to get here on Fridays, and look, you will literally have to fire me because I ain't going nowhere, and she would
relate.
And she would laugh about that, but that was, to me, one of the turning points.
I love that. I see it, baby. I absolutely love that. You said your biggest win was that you worked on you first, and that resonated with me, because I'm a firm believer that we are blessed with kids, and kids come to teach us more about ourselves than we are here to teach them about it, because they are innocent. We pretty much taint them by our views and what society believes and what you can and can't do, but they literally come here, if you will, as a blank slate, and you have to teach them everything. So healing yourself first is so important, because if not, we'll be passing down those embedded traumas without even, unknowingly doing so. And I have, I do a little self-work about it, or I question a lot of things about, like, well, why do I believe that? Or why am I telling you to do that? And my son is very strong-willed, if you will. He'll definitely ask you, well, why? Why? And he's not asking it out of disrespect. And I had to learn that because it wasn't necessarily the way that I was parenting. We could not ask why. But when I recognized that he wanted to just literally know why, why can't I do this or do these things? And when I explained to him, well, this particular thing was for his safety. You can't do this because it's for your safety. I recognized that. He was like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it this way. So if we give them, the necessary tools to navigate it, we're not stopping them from being who they are, but we are guiding them. And I think that's what parenting is all about, is guiding them. And if you're giving guidance to anything, you first have to be educated. And so you need to educate yourself, like Jessica said, and heal. So I love that was, your mom a win, because that is definitely breaking those generational curses that we so often talk about, is first starting with yourself and being vulnerable enough to know that, you know what, this might be a little bit of me here. I need to fix that. I need to fix myself, and, I love that the space and the tribe that I have created understands that and, lives in that moment. Jessica, we would love to hear about your mom win.
Both of those are really great wins. I would have to say I've been very intentional about continuing self-care and making that a priority, and doing things that I love to do, even with having kids. For example, I started competing in pageants when I was 19. I competed for Miss Louisiana Tech. And from that point, I was hooked. I just loved pageantry, and it was something that I really enjoyed. That was my sport, because I just was not into playing sports, basketball. My daddy tried to get me to do it, but yeah, I'm tall, but I don't use my height for that. But that is one of those things that still stuck with me, even after being married and having kids. I was like, oh, I could do the Mrs. pageants, because I can be, a mom, and I could talk about my family. And that's what I love about it the most, is I could talk about not just my career, but I can incorporate my family into that too. I've competed before when I was pregnant. It was really awesome for me to still, because, when you get pregnant, you lose so many connections from who you were before, and even some friends, or there's just a lot of loss involved in that as well. And so for me to be able to still hold on to some things that I really enjoy, it makes me feel good. It gives me a reason to work out, and so I'm exercising. I socialize with my friends. I'm doing all these things to just be very intentional about doing things that I enjoy, and I don't want to neglect my happiness and sacrifice my happiness for my kids. And I find that especially in the Black community, we see our moms or grandmothers or great grandmothers kind of sacrifice what they want to do for the good of their family. And that's all nice, but what did that do to their spirit? What did that do to their mental health? And I just don't want to be that. I don't want to be somebody that looks back in 20 years and is like, man, I wish I would have started a private practice. I wish I would have continued to try to be Mrs. Louisiana. I don't want to put those things on hold just because I have kids. I want them to see me do all of these great things and take care of myself, and know oh, wow, mama's doing it. And because my son watches stuff like this, he watches when we do this, he wants to do stuff like that.
I love that.
So just continuing to take care of myself and do the things that I enjoy, I think, is the biggest win, because I see so many moms that, they just...
And we just don't. We fall into the, again, assumed role of motherhood. We automatically assume, well, if, I'm going to do it, no one's going to do it if I don't do it, but surprisingly, I found that if you just don't do it, somebody's going to do it. It's going to happen. It's going to get done, even with all the anxiety and things that come along with it, leaving children and everything. Guys, we are coming up on 8:00. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to ask one more question. Keep in mind of the time, and then we're going to jump into the rapid fire questions, because I know a few of us have obligations afterwards. So I'm going to do the rapid fire questions. Is just going to be a thumbs up, thumbs down situation, whether you agree or disagree. And if you want to give a little feedback on it, you can come off of mute during that time. So the final question that we are going to end with is, when do you as a mother feel most supported? Is it difficult, or is it ever difficult to ask for support? and why? Remember, guys, we are like right at the final. So when do you, as a mother, feel most supported? And I'll let whoever wants to lead first.
I'll go first. I feel most supported when my husband kind of just steps in and I don't really have to ask. I know that, you know, sometimes I do have to ask, and I don't have that unrealistic idea if he should read my mind, but it is so much helpful when people just kind of see something needs to be done and they just do it. But I don't have a problem asking for help and support when it comes, especially, I mean, I don't think, even with us being married, like, I'm so grateful for our village. Like, if you want to do something, ask, you know. We ask grandparents for help with things all the time, with watching the kids or whatever. So I just think that is so important to ask for help and to use your support system that you have. And if you don't have that support system, to seek that out and kind of get outside of your comfort zone and try to develop that support that you would like.
I like that. That's very hard, and I'll be transparent in saying that's hard for me. I'm with my kid 24/7. I don't ask for help. I guess want people to read my mind, Jessica, since you said that. I want you to read my mind. But okay, whoever's next want to answer that question. When do you feel most supported as a mom, and is it hard for you to ask for support? And if so, why?
I'm like Jessica. I feel like I feel the most supported when I get help without asking for it. Like, oh my gosh, you just stepped up and did that, and I didn't have to tell you. Like, when something's taken off my plate without me even expressing that it's on my plate or griping that it's on my plate, that's when I feel the most supported. But Desi, you know, I'm like you. We got the twins, almost 20%. If like you, my sister, or like our moms don't have, their grandparents don't have them, and none of their grandparents live local. So I struggle to ask for help. My friends check on me all the time, but I'm very private about my struggles in motherhood because like I said earlier, a lot of them do not have children yet. I don't want to taint their image of motherhood. So when I'm in my like F this moments, I don't want to invite them into that space, and then that's all they hold on to. Because it is beautiful, it's just very stressful, and it's a lot, especially with two of them the same age. So I struggle to ask for help. I know that I have the tribe there and the support to receive help. It's just me kind of admitting that I need help is also something I struggle with. I do it myself. It's fine. I got it. But I'm grateful for my tribe, especially their godmom who lives 5 minutes away. I'm grateful that they step up and they help me. And they make me sit down, and they're like, no, we're going to do it. So all my friends, even in Louisiana and Dallas, I appreciate them for really just stepping up, even when I don't want to let them. So yeah.
Great. I love that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to navigate Trey going to the bathroom and not pulling his pants down on live. I'm sorry. I am listening. I love that you know, taking, again, I see that same thing, the taking things off of our plate without asking. It's big because to me that says I want to be seen, I want to feel heard, and I want to be understood without having to explain myself and my struggles. You see me, help me. Dr. G, you want to go on that? We got 3 minutes, and then we're going to jump into the rapid fire questions.
For me, and I want to say ditto to Peyton and Jessica. For me, my love language, and if you hadn't read that book, The 5 Love Languages, they have one for kids too. It's awesome. But for me, I am quality time. So I feel the most supported when my support system is present. You know, my son had a baseball game, my little one, last week. And I felt the love because his grandparents were there, you know, all of them, they were here. My sister showed up. And so when my tribe is present, that to me, that is just the best, because that's just how I'm wired. Support to me means presence. So if you're around, then I'm feeling supported. And I think that's a great point to bring out, is that understanding how you receive love is really important. And I'm that quality time person. Some of us, it sounds, are acts of service, Peyton and Jessica, and that's really important. You know, For me, it's just, I want you here. And, and that's half of the battle for me. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And you mentioned the 5 love languages, and we just released our newsletter yesterday, and that was a tip from Jessica. She was on our newsletter telling that to get that book for kids, it's important to understand your kid, and that's purposeful parenting, if you will, that understanding how they love, how they receive love, and not just giving them what you want to give them. And that's for any relationship, not just parent-child relationship, but that's for any relationship. Okay, guys, so this is going to be the rapid fire questions. I'm going to ask the question, and then you just give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, or if you like, wait, I can't, go in between the two, we'll discuss a little bit. Okay, so the first question is, I believe spanking is a proper form of parenting tactic for communicating wrongdoing to my child. Okay, we got all thumbs down there. I am okay with sharing photos of my children online as a way of my friends and family staying connected with us. My child will not have a cell phone until high school. You're a little in between, Dr. G. Okay. I've caught myself saying something my parent would have said to me as a child. Yeah, we've all did. I was like, wait a minute, that's Iris coming out. I know she watching. Iris, just stay over there. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, I am planning on having more kids. Jessica says she is done, too, and done. Peyton, I love that you have.
Don't show my husband. Don't show him. He doesn't know yet.
I love that he doesn't know yet. I was completely prepared for parenthood at the time of my pregnancy. I don't think that we are ever prepared. I do not think there is any amount of research, study, and education, love, support tribe that will ever prepare you for what parenting is. Like Peyton said, it's beautiful, but it's stressful because you have got to learn about yourself. It brings out all your flaws. So it's like, dang, I got to fix me to raise this little human. So yes, it gets hard. I give myself grace in parenting because no one is perfect. I'm learning how to do that. So I'm gonna give myself a thumbs up because I'm on that journey. Peyton, Jessica, connect to Jessica. She needs to help you in that area. She's real good at it. I'm coming, baby. Telling my child my favorite food is spicy has successfully kept them from eating it. Trey will eat anything. He's like, I like spicy. There's a TV show I absolutely despise that my children love watching. That's a good one. And the show that he loves to watch, that Trey loves to watch, he's an advocate of Halloween. He loves Halloween. And it's a show called Steve and Maggie, and oh my God, he loves it. Okay, mealtime is one of the most difficult parts of the day with my children. Okay. I have had to hide in my house to have moments of peace from my children. I post those on social media. I be in the bathroom hiding, and Trey goes and pokes things underneath the door. My favorite time of the day is when my kids are at school. Depends on the day, depends on the moment. Is that what we're saying? It just depends on how I'm feeling. Some days we miss them. Some days we like stay over there. Yeah, some days we like I need more time. Okay, I tell my baby all the latest gossip. You know that they can't tell, they can't talk. So, you know, hey, it might be. And that is the last one, guys. That is the last one. I have enjoyed our conversation. It is 8:03 on the dot. Let's see if we have any questions in the comments. Somebody said they're playing too in the comments, and somebody said, man, they're homeschooled. I wish. Y'all can come off of mute. And just, say your final well wishes. I'm going to step away just for a second to take care of my child in the back, and then I'm coming right back. So just tell me a little bit, Jessica, you're off mute, you can lead.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. This was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I hope that we can all come together in the future to do other things. For anybody who's watching, I just kind of wanted to tell everybody about my information if they're looking for a counselor, particularly if you're dealing with pregnancy or postpartum issues, as well as infertility or pregnancy loss. My private practice is JL Counseling. I'm located at 1545 Line Avenue, Suite 330E in Shreveport, Louisiana. Like I said, I'm licensed in Louisiana, Georgia, and Texas. I'm taking clients in all of those states, and I offer teletherapy and in-person sessions. And I accept Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, UMR, and Cigna insurance. And I also have a sliding fee scale for those who may not have those insurances. And if there's anybody out there that's struggling with maybe finding like a tribe or a circle of people who understand what you're going through, postpartum.net has support groups for any demographic you could think of: moms of multiples, Black moms, postpartum moms, bipolar moms, dads. They have LGBTQ parents. They have a support group for all of those groups and more on postpartum.net. They also provide a lot of education resources for parents and mothers who may be dealing with perinatal mood and anxiety disorders. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Jessica. You're amazing asset to our community, and I appreciate you for jumping in on this. Dr. Gretchen, you're next if you want to close us out.
Thank you all. I have enjoyed this. This has been fun, open, transparent, and that's what I'm about. I think people, when they see us being transparent in our stories, it can provide the healing that someone else needs. So Desiree, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed myself today. So I made a huge transition over a year ago, and now I am a general pediatrician at Mid-City Pediatrics. The reason why I did that is because it allows me to have that balance I so desperately need and desire, so that my family can get the best of me first, and then my career. Recently, I launched All Things Dr. G, Faith, Family, and Pediatrics. It's a passion of mine to teach other women like me that you really can have it all, but you just need to align it in the right position so that you can have that balance and live the best life that you can. Faith, family, and then your career. That is something I'm passionate about. As a child growing up with low self-esteem, and recognizing that I had some childhood traumas that really served as a lead in how I interacted as an adult, I was passionate about sharing some mental health issues from a general pediatrician standpoint. So if you guys are free later on, hop on at 8:30, All Things Dr. G. We're going to talk about adverse childhood experiences, which is basically trauma, and how that trauma as children, if it is not addressed and not healed, can affect us as adults. So I'm excited about that. And if you know a kid who may have experienced trauma, one of the first points of contact should be their general pediatrician. So if you haven't done so already and you're listening, make sure you schedule a well child check with your pediatrician at least once a year, because their mental health evaluations is part of the preventative health visit. So that's important. Thank you, guys.
You're muted, Desiree.
Okay, I was just saying that. Thank you so much for being here, and as well, you are an asset to our space. And please, everybody, join her at 8:30 on live for her next conversation. I've appreciated you. I love you. Thank you for who you are to me. And Peyton, go ahead and let us close us out.
Okay, but thanks for inviting me, Desi. I'm so excited. I had a really good time with you guys. Dr. Gretchen and Jessica. It was really fun, like just being transparent and open about motherhood, which is something that's really important to me, you know, since I stepped into this role. And we need more spaces like this for Black mamas to just kind of talk, because our experiences versus what mainstream pushes are very different. We have a different set of circumstances just based on race alone. And then you factor in all the other things like socioeconomics and all of that. But I really appreciate this space. And like Desi said, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So do more than check on your strong friends. Seek professional help based on your needs and concerns. Let's destigmatize therapy and counseling. We could all use it. Like Dr. Gretchen talks about adverse childhood trauma. We all experience things that have shaped us in the way that we are. And a lot of those need to be unlearned before we enter into these parenting roles, or for us to continue to succeed in parenting roles. So just really use your resources, because there's so many out there. And lastly, for me, what worked is, if you guys aren't familiar, mamas who don't have a tribe, the Peanut app is like social media just for mamas, where you can connect with other mamas in your area based on your children's age, based on your activities of interest. If you're like a wine and brunch mama, if you're a park mama, it's just like Facebook for moms only. And you can make connections there. And that app actually kind of helped me branch out to meeting other mamas and extending my tribe. So I leave you guys with that. And thank y'all for listening to us. And I hope you have a great night.
Thank you so much, Peyton. I love who you are, and you on this thing calling me our family name, Desi. But I'm gonna get you later for that. But anyway, and as for Trey's Lunchbox, I just want to thank you for allowing us to create this space and be there. We want to be a consistent and constant support to the modern mother, is what I'm calling it these days, modern mother, the millennial mother. Because we are changing a generation, and we are breaking those curses and, breaking those chains, as Dr. G said. And I want to be sure that we are not only doing it for ourselves, but getting that information out there for others, because it helps. It matters. Representation matters. It's important to see someone who looks like you going through the same things as you. And knowing that you're not alone. And so these are three phenomenal women that can help you in however that you're feeling, to navigate that space. It's okay. It doesn't matter what you're feeling like. It's okay. Just reach out to our inbox, wherever you feel comfortable reaching out. But I'm not licensed or professional, but I can definitely pull on my network and my connections for you. Just reach out. And as for Trey's Lunchbox, guys, we just finished the ABC Expo in Las Vegas. Super, super, super excited that I pushed past my fears and went by myself to go and show up for Trey's Lunchbox. And I'm so, so glad that I did, because some amazing things, thank you, baby, some amazing things came out of it. That I cannot wait to share with you guys of what's coming for Trey's Lunchbox. We are still on our journey to mass retail. It looks a little different for us because I'm learning as I'm going, but I'm doing it, and I'm proud of myself. We will be right back here next month, the same time frame, on the 15th of the month, and we're not real sure of the topic yet, but stay tuned, because it gets better and better with every conversation. And I know that we have posted how you can reach these ladies in our comments. Sorry, my son is funny. He's showing me his muscles. But how you can reach these ladies and further connect with these ladies in the comments. Again, please reach out to them. They are willing, open, and ready to help to get you to your best, living your purposeful life and who you were designed to be. Motherhood is good, but it's not just who you are. You were a person before motherhood, and don't ever forget it. And try to find that person. It's hard, it takes time, but you can do it. We're all in the same space, and we're all, we're getting there. So I appreciate you. Trey of Trey's Lunchbox has made his cameo of the night. So say hi. You want to say hi? Oh, you give me a kiss. Okay, thank you. But that is all I have for this evening. Thank you again, ladies, for your time, your energy, and for pouring into this space with the transparency that you did. And shout out to everybody in the comments and everyone that's watching and viewing. We can't do this and push this without you guys. So thank you so much for engaging and just being a part of it. And hopefully it was helpful and informative, and that you'll be right back here next month. I love you, and that's all I have to say. Good night, everybody. I'm gonna go put Trey to sleep now.